Hello, today I'm going to do a video on how to make the finger weaving kit lightning design by Traditional Craft Kits. So first of all, I've cut 30 lengths. I've got 10 of the gold color and I've got 20 of the blue color. And we are gonna put them onto our stay stick now. And the way we do that is we take the stick and we take one, we're gonna do 10 blue, 10 gold, 10 blue. So we take the stick and we lay it down on, or we lay the stick on top of one of the lengths of yarn, and then we just simply wrap around like this, down. And then I'm gonna move these out of the way. We will pick up another length of blue, slide it under the stay stick, up and around like that, and then push them together. And then just keep doing this with each one so that you slide it under and around, slide over, and then around. And right now it's not really important exactly where the yarn is. Like, you're not measuring. We will measure the ends in the next step to make sure everything's even. We just want to get it on the stick. But try to aim for in the middle somewhere. Okay, let's see, how many do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I knew we were getting close. So one more. And then we have 10. So let's move on to gold. We'll do all 10 of the gold. And then, you know, you can do this. This is a piece of dowel. You could use a stick. You could use a tree branch that's still attached to the tree. And anything that you can wrap some yarn around. Now that we have all the pieces of yarn on the stay stick, we can take a minute to make sure that we have an equal amount of yarn on either side. So the best way to do that is just kind of lay the stick like this in front of you, and then take a ruler and hold it to one side and get a measurement, and hold it to the other side and get a measurement, and then find that same measurement on each side and gently just pull. I can't really get it on the camera, but I would just tug until it's even on both sides. And then once you have that top one measured, you can just slide the next one and make sure that it matches that and push it up. And then move to the third one. And some of them, you know, you're gonna be pretty even, and like this one is off. So I'm going to gently, you could hold the stick with your finger as you tug, just slowly, so that it evens up with the ends. And, you know, just take your time, enjoy the process of getting it right. It's not a rush. And then move on to the fourth one, slide it up, see where we're at on the ends. This one needs to be pulled a little bit this way. So hold it with your finger and gently pull so that it matches the other yarn. And then slide up. And then continue this process for each piece of yarn. I took my time and made sure everything was even on the ends, pretty even. And I centered it on the stay stick, and I counted everything, and I actually discovered one of my yarns was on the ground. So I only had 9 up here. So luckily I figured that out before I started and I got it on there. And you know, just sometimes in crafting and weaving, the preparing and getting it ready can take just as much time as actually weaving, or it just takes a long time. I mean, I spent about 20 minutes doing that. And just like in life, I think, you know, you got to take the steps to get to the next level. You don't want to skip steps, because like skipping steps and rushing, then you make mistakes and then you have to redo it. So just slow down, gives you some time to think. And you know, that's why they say sometimes weaving and crafting can be like meditation, because it quiets your mind and you are just kind of in the moment and you have insights sometimes. Anyways, let's get going to the next step. I braided the top half of the weaving that we're not going to be weaving right away. You don't have to do that, but I like to do that just because it keeps all of the yarn we're not weaving together so that it doesn't accidentally fall down and get confusing. So if you're working, there's so many different ways that you can secure the stay stick. Basically, you want to attach it to something so that when you pull on it like this, then there's tension. And so if it's tied, you can tie this to the back of a chair. You could tie this to the back of a chair. You could use like a clipboard and hold the clipboard in your lap. You could tape it down. You could use a clip. You could use anything that you can think of basically to get this so that when you pull on it, it's not going to slide and that you have tension. So for this video, I have just tied it to something that's off to the edge that is secure. So, and now we are ready to start. Oh yeah, you can clip this. There's enough string so that you can find whatever you need to tie it to, and you can clip it off, or you can just not clip it off and push it over to the side so you can reuse it for something. It's up to you. In weaving, the warp is the vertical yarn and the weft is the horizontal yarn. And in finger weaving, they are the same thing. So these are the warps right here, and then we will be taking one of the warps and weaving it across as the weft. So it's not totally necessary, but it helps to keep the warps in order to use shed sticks. And so a shed is the empty space when you have alternating warps. So what we would do is to carefully go through and pick up the second, the fourth, the sixth, the eighth, the 10th. All right, and so you just want to make sure when you're looking up here that you actually have gone every other one right on the top here. And then you would just carry on, skipping one and picking up the second, every other one, dropping one, picking up the right one, dropping one, picking up the right one, dropping, and picking up. All right, and so carry on with the last 10 here. We have drop one, pick up, okay. So we have the first shed here. Give it a little tug like that and take one of the sticks and put it in here. All right. Now we want to, I like to put my finger in here, do the opposite. We will then pick up the first, drop the second, drop the third, pick up the third, drop the second. See, that's, you have to take your time. Pick up the fifth, drop the sixth, pick up the seventh, drop the eighth, pick up the ninth, drop the 10th. All right, and then take your time and settle everything. And then carry on with the gold. The beginning and ending of most projects take the most concentration. I need to slip my finger back in there. All right, and we did it. All right, so it is worth double checking this, giving it a tug, and you can see that they all should be every other one. And that looks good. Stick the other shed in there. And this will help us for our weaving process. If you ever need to stop for any reason, you can always just lay the two warp groups to the side like this so they don't get tangled up. To make the first row, we are going to open the first shed. So right now we have the second shed open. And so we're just gonna go ahead and drop and pick up and drop and pick up and drop and pick up. And this first row is going to secure that shed stick from trying to fall out. Okay, we did it. So now, give it a tug. Double check. Make sure we didn't make any mistakes. I feel like I made a mistake. I feel like I made a mistake right here. This one just needs to go down. There. There we go. See, you can tell when you've made a mistake because we've got these sticks in here. Which keeps our every other pattern. Okay, so lightning design is kind of complex and I don't have it memorized. So I will be referring to my instructions over here, which, just so you can see what comes with the kit, is very detailed instructions. So it says we open the first shed, which we just did. And then now we're going to pull the left warp, which is this one right here on the left. And we are going to pull it through to the middle, which would be under 7 warps, and lift over the stay. So we go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and under like that, and over, just to get it out of the way. And then it says, next pull the warp to the left of the weft you just pulled up over, under 5 warps, and lift over the stay. So here, this is to the left, so we're going to go under 5, and up over. And remember, we are leaving all of these down out of the way. We're only on this top. And then it says, take the warp to the left of the weft you just pulled up over, and under 3 warps, and lift under the stay. So here's the one we just pulled over, and here's the one to the left. So we're gonna pull that one under the remaining 3 here and over. Okay, so now we need to open the alternate shed, and we would do that by dropping the first one, picking up underneath, dropping, picking up. This is where you have to be really careful that you're picking up the right one. Drop, pick up, drop, pick up, drop, pick up, drop, pick up. Now, when you come to this one, you're going to drop this one down like that. And pick up, and drop, and pick up, and drop, and pick up, drop, pick up. Okay. And here we are with a drop and pick up, drop and pick up. And here you will see that it's kind of all you can do. Like, it seems complicated, but when you get to this point, you're like, oh, I have 2 unders right here, and I need to drop something, but my only option would be to pick it up. So you have to bring this one down to be the drop. So then alternating, you can pick up, and then drop and pick up, drop and pick up, drop and pick up the last one. So then you've done the alternating shed, and you give it a tug right here. And it says to tighten the weaving by pulling down on the bottom warps and pulling up on the top warp so the weaving is tight, like this. Okay. It's important as you're weaving to take the time to pull firmly towards you on the bottom warps and up on the top warps, pushing in and making sure that your row is straight across. Also, you know, as your pattern emerges, you may have to go in and pull specifically on certain warps to see how I'm pulling like that. So it's really establishing that that's just a little blue point right there, and that's a little yellow or gold point. Also, before you do a row, you should always just kind of visualize and make sure that you have 15 warps on the top and 15 warps on the bottom. So now we are ready to do row number 2. And this time, instead of going under 7, we are going to go under 6. 3, 6. So we can move those over, bring this warp up and over the stay. And now we are going to take the warp to the left of the one we just passed over, and we're going to go underneath 5. And over. And then we're going to take the one right to the left and go under the remaining 4. And now we will alternate the shed by dropping and picking up. And then we need to drop this down. And you will get faster at this as you develop the rhythm. The first few rows take a little extra concentration. All right, that's row number 2. And we're gonna go ahead and tug on this a little bit to get everything to settle into place. Now we are ready to do the third row, and the third row will be under 5, under 5, and under 5. then go ahead and open the weaving. Now we are ready to do the 4th row in the sequence of 4 rows that repeat over and over again. In this row, we're going to take the left warp and we're going to go under 4. And then under 5. And then under the remaining 6. And then reverse the shad. And then this one comes down. Tug everything into place. And you will notice that we're back to the way we were when we first started, with 5 blue, 5 gold, 5 blue, and we're ready to start over with the same sequence as the first row. And we're just going to keep repeating that over and over again, rows 1, 2, 3, 4, and the lightning bolt design will emerge. I've continued to work on the weaving, and I have to share with you that I set it down and picked it back up and made a mistake. And fixing that mistake took me probably about half an hour, because I had to undo it and figure out what row I was on and where I skipped. And because you are moving over the warps in a pattern, you have to know which one comes back down. And so the best way I have found is to always stop and start at the beginning of the segment, just to keep everything so that you don't get lost like I did. Even still, that's part of the process of weaving, is making mistakes and fixing them and taking the time and feeling satisfied that you figured it out. So what I have done, and I recommend, is that you make a little chart of the pattern that you're going to do. So the first row is the 7-5-3, the second row is the 6-5-4, third row is 5-5-5, and the fourth row is 4-5-6. And I would recommend doing all 4 rows and taking a break and doing that in a segment so you don't get lost, because it's really hard to remember. Also, you'll notice that just because we are pulling that warp over, it will be on a slight diagonal, and that's totally fine, because at the end, the way we finish it off, it'll have some tassels that don't really matter for the diagonal. That's just the nature of this project. I have woven so that there are 6 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so I'm ready to stop on this project. You could keep going if you wanted and have it be longer, but this is where I'm gonna stop. And so what I will just do is take the last 2 warps here and just tie a single knot. That will just secure it in place. And then bring all of the, and you'll notice we ended with it back in the original 5, 5, and 5. So that's another way to stop. To finish the side, I'm simply going to braid with 2 strands in each arm of the braid. And so just starting on the left, we're just going to do a simple braid like this all the way down to give it a nice decorative finish. I finished braiding all of the ends, and then I just tied a single knot and then another knot, so double knot, and then I trimmed up the ends so that they are more even. And like I said, you could have continued this down even further and stop wherever you want. I just figured that was a long enough project for this kit for someone just learning this skill. So next, then, take the weaving off of the stay stick, and then you can just take it off all the way and take out the shed sticks, and then go ahead and unbraid everything. Turn the weaving like this, keeping the same side up, and pull on the center loops. And you will notice now we are just right back in the same position we were on the other side. So we will just tie the ends onto the stay stick like that, and then carry on weaving in the same pattern that we were weaving with the 4 rows like this to finish. I realized that probably could have kept the stay sticks in to get the open shed so you didn't have to weave it open. But just carefully, you're gonna drop the first one and pick up the second one and carefully go along the same way so that you have every other one up and down. And start on your weaving as before. And here I've finished the weaving. There's 12 points in this project and I braided the ends. I figure it took me about 10 minutes to make each 4 rows, and then with the amount of making sure it was tight and in place, I'd say about 15 minutes each. So that would make about 3 hours for the design, and then you have like an hour for braiding, and then maybe an hour for setup and takedown, and just taking breaks. So maybe 5 to 6 hours for this project. So it isn't as easy as it seems, but it is fun and it's satisfying. I hope you enjoyed this video and you have fun making your finger weaving lightning design.